Hi everyone, I'm Yolanda. Welcome to another tutorial, and today I'm going to be making gum paste ranunculus. We've made these roses before but in buttercream. Making them in gum paste will last way longer. So let's take a look at the material that we are going to need to make ranunculus. We will need a hot glue gun, a smooth foam ball of about 1.5 inch in diameter, florist wire number 18 gauge, a small palette knife, a plastic straw, vegetable shortening, a calyx cutter, a large and a small rose cutters, a large decorating tip, a cutter to cut the wires, edible glue or water, a leaf cutter, fondant and gum paste, 50% fondant and 50% gum paste. Then we will combine them and color them whichever color we like. We will also need green fondant and gum paste combined in green. Also a rolling pin. I'm using this one for the first time, which was a gift from my daughter Grace. Thank you, Grace. We will also need a piece of styrofoam to rest our roses, a foam board, a ball tool to soften the petals, and also cornstarch or powdered sugar for dusting. I cut my wires 4 to 5 inches long. Since I had white wires, I covered them with florist tape as follows. Insert the wire through the foam ball halfway through, then glue to secure wire in ball. This will be the center of your rose. To cover the top of the ball, roll out the green gum paste. Using a large decorating tip, cut a circle. Soften the circle using a ball tool on a foam board. Use edible glue to glue the circle on top of the ball. Now that the green circle is glued to the top of the ball, make some 5 or 6 lines on the circle. Careful not to cut all the way through the gum paste. Roll out the green gum paste again. Using the small rose cutter, cut a small rose. Break off all the petals. Use a ball tool to soften the edges and to cup all the petals. Using edible glue, glue all the petals around the center, being careful not to cover the center. Overlap petals one on top of the other, except for the last petal. Tucking the last petal under the previous petal. Gently close rose with hand. Now I'm going to roll out my fondant and cut 4 roses with the largest rose cutter. I'm going to break off all the petals, smooth the edges, and cup the center, just like I did before. The same process. Here I have all my pink petals. I am going to do the same process as before, wrapping the petals around the center. I want to make sure that all the petals are at the same height, because what we are looking for here is to make the rose fat. This is going to be a fat rose. And so every time that I add one petal, I add it on top of the previous petal, halfway on top of the previous petal, except for the last petal. The last petal goes underneath the previous one. So I'm going to be using edible glue for the entire process, and just watch how I place my last petal underneath the previous one. Tuck it in there and then just wrap it around. I got distracted talking and I placed an extra petal here, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to continue making 2 other rows of petals. Be sure you also glue the rows at the bottom. After each row, turn the rows around and make sure that you glue the bottom. Just like this. And this will be our last row. You see how wide this rose looks? This is how ranunculus are supposed to look, very wide. And just watch how I place the last petal again. See that underneath the previous one. My calyx cutter is kind of small in comparison to the rose, so I cut it very thick, and now I'm stretching it out so it could fit right underneath the rose. So this is what I'm doing now. I'm trying to stretch it out, and then I will fix the tips. Just like this. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to pass the rose through. Glue it first and then pass the rose through. Turn the rose over and glue the calyx except for the tips of the calyx, which you will turn back so the rose will look natural. Take a small soft brush and separate the petals, being very careful not to break them. And that's it. We've just finished our ranunculus. Look how beautiful. Now let me show you how I made the leaves for these ranunculus. To make my leaves, I use this leaf mold. You roll out a small piece of fondant or gum paste and sandwich it between the two parts of the leaf mold. Cut it, and that's it. It's very easy, and the leaves come out very nice. So once you have your leaves, you let it dry. And the way I usually do it, I let it dry, not flat, but I give it some weight, some movement, either on a leaf former or any other surface that is not just flat. You give it some movement to make it look natural. You could also use a rolling pin or whatever you have that could give the leaves some movement. And here is my final product. I just want to mention that these roses, although they are made with gum paste and fondant, they are non-edible because they have wires and because they have the smooth foam ball. So that makes the roses unedible. So whenever you have something in your cake that is not edible, you need to tell the person that is receiving the cake to be sure to remove those roses or flowers before they cut the cake. Another thing is, I just want you to look at the wave, the movement of the leaves. They are not flat. They have some natural movement. And that's why I was saying before, don't let your leaves dry flat. Give it some movement. Another thing is to place your roses. Okay, you need the straw that I show you at the beginning. You insert your straw wherever you want a rose to be placed or a flower to be placed. And then you then insert the wire of your rose. You should not be inserting the roses or flowers in your cake without any straws, okay? Because that is going to contaminate your cake. The adhesive tape, the florist tape, all the wires should not be touching your cake at all. Well, this has been all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope that you had fun like I did making this ranunculus. Please share, subscribe, and like. I will see you back here again with another tutorial soon. Until then, God bless you. Take care.